You know that feeling when you splurge on a budget recliner, only to find it creaks louder than your old rocking chair and the lift function quits after a few weeks? I've seen it too many times, people hoping to get a little extra comfort for the price, and ending up with a piece of furniture that feels more like a chore than a relief. That's why I wanted to see if the Xwayuakai living room gray fabric recliner actually lives up to the hype, or if it's just another cheap-look disappointment in disguise. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When you're standing in the aisle, the first thing you notice is the sheer size. This isn't a compact office chair you can slip under a desk, it's an oversized, single-seater sofa that looks ready to welcome you home after a long day. The first hesitation most of us feel is whether the extra bulk will actually translate into a real benefit or just take up half the living room. I spent a weekend setting it up in a spare room, running the electric lift a handful of times, and then using it for a full day of TV marathons, reading, and a quick nap. The experience gave me enough material to tell you exactly who will love this chair and who might want to keep looking. Let's start with the people who will get the most out of it. If you're an elderly family member who struggles to get up from a low sofa, the Lift Assist feature is a game changer. By pressing a simple button, the chair raises you to an almost standing position. I tried it with my dad, who has mild arthritis in his knees, and the motion was smooth enough that he didn't have to grunt or use his hands for balance. The transition took just a few seconds, and the seat stayed level when it reached that halfway up point, which means he could safely swing his legs onto the floor without wobbling. For anyone who needs that extra push to avoid a painful rise from a seated position, this is where the value really shines. The recline angle is another practical win. With the press of a button, the back tilts back to 135 degrees, which is almost a full lie-down position without the chair sliding forward. I set it up in front of my 55-inch TV, and the angle let me lean back comfortably while still keeping my eyes at a good height for the screen. The motion felt buttery smooth, not jerky, and there's no need to manually pull a lever, which can be a pain for someone with limited hand strength. Because the chair stays locked in place at any point along the recline, you can find that sweet spot where your neck and lower back feel supported during a long movie. Now, let's talk about the fabric and cushioning. The upholstery is a soft, velvet touch material that feels pleasant against the skin, especially compared to the stiff polyester you often get on lower-priced models. Under the seat, the foam is noticeably thicker than the typical 2-inch cushion you see on most recliners. When I sat down after a few hours of standing in the kitchen, the chair gave a gentle give that reduced pressure points. That's a tangible comfort factor you won't notice until you actually use the chair for extended periods. Practical extras are often overlooked in reviews, but they matter in daily life. This recliner comes with side pockets on each arm and 2 cup holders. I found the pockets perfect for storing my remote, reading glasses, and a small blanket, no more scrambling across the room for the TV remote while you're half reclined. The cup holders held my coffee securely, even when the chair rocked gently as I shifted. Those little conveniences add up, especially for folks who spend long stretches in the chair. Of course, there are trade-offs. First, the chair is heavy. At over 150 pounds, it's not something you can easily move around once it's placed. The package includes detailed assembly instructions, and while the process is straightforward if you have a helper, it's definitely not a one-person, no-tools job. If you're renting or plan to rearrange your space often, you'll need to consider the effort involved. Second, the fabric, while soft, is a woven velvet that can attract pet hair more readily than smoother leather or microfiber. I have a golden retriever who loves to lounge on the couch, and after a few weeks, a light brush was required to keep the chair looking tidy. If you have a lot of shedding pets, that could become a maintenance consideration. Third, the power cord is a fixed length that runs from the base to the wall outlet. In the setup I used, I had to position the chair fairly close to a power source, which limited placement options. If your living room layout doesn't have an outlet near where you want the recliner, you may need an extension cord, and that adds a little aesthetic clutter. Another subtle point, because the chair is designed to lift you up, the mechanism is a bit noisier than